I wish I could delete Facebook. I hate it so much. Just delete Facebook then. I did it 3 years ago and I've never looked back. Delete Facebook is a movement that does exactly what it says on the tin. These people want everyone to delete Facebook, which sounds simple. And if you've ever been on Facebook, it seems reasonable enough. But is it that easy? Is it? Is it though? Is it really that simple? Well, no, clearly not. Look how much is left of this video. It's time to get your notepads out. At this point, whose side do you think I'm on? Here's why you're wrong about how easy it is to delete Facebook. Part 1. Facebook. Facebook everywhere. Facebook is more than a profile. Deleting Facebook's family of apps off your phone is only part of the equation, and to ignore Facebook's ubiquity is very short-sighted. Facebook's Pixel tracks you on millions of websites, and not just shitty blogs. Big players use this tool to track you. You can see what Facebook knows about you by hunting down a pretty hidden feature in your profile settings called Off Facebook Activities. You can request a copy of everything it knows about you, which I did, but we'll get to that later. I've got to keep you watching somehow. As you can see, they're not shy about how they get their information. They give me this example. Jane buys a pair of shoes. That shoe shop gives Facebook that information. Facebook then tracks Jane across the internet to see where she's browsing for more shoes. Then Facebook tells the original shoe shop and Jane gets a 10% discount. Awesome, right? I get 10% off shoes. No! Need I remind you that Facebook makes billions off this data? That's millions with a B. Your data. So the billions they get is in cash, while you get a 10% off voucher, which you might not even use. How's that awesome? Wait, I've not consented to any of that shit. Well, technically you have, but it's buried in their terms of service. 380 apps and websites have shared, they've given my data to Facebook recently. And it might not even be all of them. That's not unsettling at all. I don't log into these websites using Facebook. Hell, I don't even remember going to some of these sites. But I do use the same email on a lot of them, and they use the Pixel. Oh, would you look at that? Patreon. If you're enjoying this video, it might be a good time to go and donate. And like the video. And subscribe for more content. Or you can just ignore my call to actions like the monster that you are. Look, there's a delete button. Can't I just delete the information? Yes, technically. If by delete the information, you mean remove the data's association with me, but they'll keep it on file to use to create profiles on people like me, which if anything is more valuable and accurate. You can see in this video why you're wrong about how interesting your personal data is. You can delete your profile, but the vast majority of people don't. They just deactivate their profile, which is a sign to Facebook that they'll be back one day, so they continue tracking you and adding information to your profile where they can. How does it do that? Great question! Facebook can buy data from brokers and use unique identifiers like your email or your phone number to match your profile with that data. Or they can use your unique Pixel ID, which it created when you were on Facebook, to follow you around the internet. The same as Google's cookies used to do. Credit where credit isn't due, at least Google named their tracker something cute. Facebook Pixel? Why not just call it the Mark Zuckerberg marketing tracking tool? And don't think by getting a new phone or computer that'll stop them either, because when you connect to your home broadband, they'll recognise that IP address and match you up again. But I've never even had a Facebook profile, so they won't be tracking me. Fake news, everybody's dad! Facebook creates shadow profiles for people who aren't on the site to fill in the gaps in their social DNA. More on that in this video, linked below. So yeah, you might have deleted the apps or never had a profile in the first place, but if you have friends, lucky you, or a connection to the internet, Facebook knows you exist and knows an alarming amount about you. But let's assume none of these issues impact you. Why else are you wrong about how easy it is to delete Facebook? Part 2. Facebook around the world. In many countries around the world, the most useful, meaningful connection people have to the internet is through Facebook. Tragic, I know. It's like saying your only meaningful connection to culture is through watching Jersey Shore. Google tried to take a swing at this market a few years ago by launching Loon, a service that would use hot air balloons to bring an internet connection to the most rural parts of the world, on condition they logged in using a Google account. But like most things, this was discontinued in 2021. In some rural countries, an internet connection is fucking expensive, and their data caps are lower than Russell Brand's V-neck tops were in the late 90s. And their connections are poorer than Russell Brand's relationships were during his shagging days in the early noughties. So it's hard to even get the data onto their device. So how do you solve the issue of poor, expensive internet connections? That's right, you invest in universal infrastructure that brings this basic human right to... Sorry, hang on. They didn't do that. Instead, Facebook entered into deals with ISPs in developing nations to say that as long as people connected to Facebook or any of their family of apps, they would foot the bill for all the data. It's almost as if the value of your data and the lifelong habits you're creating are worth more to them than the cost of your browsing. We also get deals like that over here, but that's not the point. It's another reason why Facebook launched the light version of their app. This app takes up significantly less data, saving Facebook money. But much like the diet version of Coke, it's still bad for you. It's just the lesser of two evils. By offering to kindly subsidize the cost of getting online and messaging friends, the only option available to some people is Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, and anything else they've recently purchased. Am I making this clear? It's not so much the apps having a monopoly over messaging, so much as Facebook has a monopoly over the actual internet connection. Once more for the people at the back. In some countries, without Facebook covering the cost of the internet, you wouldn't be able to connect to the rest of the world. And that's putting aside the fact that if Facebook wants to remove your account when it likes, or stop certain news stories or even sites appearing in the feed, it can do that at will. Not everyone uses the Facebook app to stalk their exes or share vaccine research. That's kind of an us problem, not a world problem. For a lot of people around the world, Facebook is the only tool they have to chat with their friends for free, like we did on MSN back in the day. Sorry, about 15% of my users are too young to remember MSN. Skype? Do you remember Skype? Or as I call it, Zoom 1.0? Anyway, people in other countries use Facebook to discover things for sale, share photos of their day, and look up vaccine misinformation. I mean news. Fun fact, in some countries you can actually get government services through WhatsApp. Facebook have a stranglehold stronger than some of the top tier wrestlers. In Africa, when WhatsApp went down, it led to massive online confusion, and government officials had to scramble to reassure citizens that it would be back online soon. In Venezuela, the media is controlled by the government, so people use Facebook to get news. And some businesses there only work on WhatsApp because international calls are banned. By shouting delete Facebook at people online, we're ignoring the fact that the site is used for many things and not everyone has an alternative. Part 3. Why aren't there any alternatives? Because for the last decade or so, every brand, company, media personality and person has driven traffic to Facebook because it was free and easy to use. And as a result, nobody thought to launch an alternative. In Zimbabwe, half of all their internet goes through WhatsApp. And it's not because they love the patchy call quality, it's because they have no other option. If you said to me, here, you can have a lifetime supply of chocolate, but it will contain orange, I'll take it. If it's my only option, I'll happily take that off your hands. Even though orange chocolate tastes like ball bag sweat directly from a man who did an intensive workout at the gym. When you don't have any other options, you'll settle. Or at least that's what my girlfriend told me during the pandemic lockdowns. In the last 5 years or so, when someone did try and launch an alternative, Facebook purchased them before they could get too big. When we enter into an agreement with Facebook, we stop any chance of a viable competitor. After all, the end boss of capitalism is a monopoly, which is exactly what Facebook has. Its monopoly stretches to web access in a lot of places around the world and has all of us tied to it because we feel like we can't be on it as we might miss out. And now there's no other option for us to go to. But don't worry, right? Because messaging is free for life. So before you shout at someone for being on Facebook, how about you offer to make them a meaningful, low barrier to entry or free alternative that they can actually access for the features they currently rely on Facebook to provide? But you're not going to do that, are you? You're just going to sit there and brag about how you deleted WhatsApp to install Telegram and then misquote Edward Snowden on your Tumblr. Yes, I am slightly projecting here because I previously made a video about why you should delete WhatsApp, and although I stand by everything in that video, I didn't realise at the time how hard it was for some people to do. So in the interest of self-improvement and preempting any troll comments, I'm sorry I missed that out of the video. This shift is impossible for a startup to do on its own. We'd all have to agree to support a not-for-profit website that does exactly what Facebook does, and then agree to not go back to Facebook under any circumstances because they've proven time and time again they don't care about what's best for us. But that's really unlikely. Not only because we're creatures of habit, but also because we're in a toxic relationship with Facebook. And we'll all come crawling back the minute that little feeling of existential dread starts to creep in. You never quite realise how lonely you are until the Wi-Fi goes down in an empty house. So even if Facebook says they've changed their terms of service, and they've changed the way they operate, and they changed the way they do things, we all need to steer clear, because ultimately, once we're back on it, we're very unlikely to leave. Think of it this way. Facebook is like the host of a party. You went because you had nothing better to do. At the door, the host took your jacket and told you to go and make yourself at home. You did. You recognise some people at the party. You vaguely recognise a lot of people at the party. And you really hate a lot of people in that room. While you're off mingling and being as polite as you can with someone who thinks goat cheese tastes amazing, Facebook is in the coat room going through your jacket pockets for whatever information about you it can find to sell to advertisers. Now, are you really going to go back to another party if they invited you again but said this time we've changed our coat room policy? No, but we do it every single day we log on. More people change their physical address than their primary social network, so I get how hard it is to disconnect. If you can delete Facebook, do it. But just know you're only able to do it because you probably live in a rich country that has alternative apps that means it isn't actually going to impact your day-to-day life. The only person who can truly delete Facebook is Zuckerberg. Oh, and remember, Facebook isn't the problem. The problem is the way Facebook makes money. Facebook is a distraction from an underlying issue. Yes, an issue they created, but if they didn't do it, another website would have done. Part 4. So how do I quit if I want to? Quitting Facebook is like saying you want to quit the internet, even in first world countries like the UK or the US. But much like a kinky person doing missionary for the 15th time in a row, let's turn this thing around. The only way to partially delete Facebook from your life is to never log onto a website that uses Facebook Pixel, to change your phone number and then never give that or your email address to anyone on Facebook, as well as doing your own research into what apps and even credit cards use your data and sell it to Zuckerberg. Basically, we're in a web, a world wide web, created by Facebook. Tim Berners-Lee would be spinning in his grave. Well, he would if he were dead, which he's not. Incidentally, he's actually working on a way for us to get paid for the data that websites mine from us. If you'd like me to do a video on that, please write below so I know there'd be an interested audience in watching it. In my opinion, which at this point is an objective fact, we're too far down the rabbit hole, and the only way out is data legislation or combined action to back a not-for-profit alternative, both of which seem about as likely as discovering who actually killed JFK. Spoiler. The gunman wasn't alone. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you, I don't want to say enjoyed that, but got something out of it.